Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 256 for the 15th of September 2013. Richard Saunders and Fred the Cat, coming to you from Sydney, Australia. On this week's show, I go for a stroll through the Botanic Gardens with Dr. Pamela Gay, and we discuss CosmoQuest and look at ducks and eels. Very exciting, coming up at the top of the show. Following that, it's a week in science from our good friends at the Royal Institution of Australia. A very popular segment, A Week in Science. And after that, I catch up with a dear friend of mine from the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, Evan Bernstien. Evan tells us about the early days of SGU and what it was like to work with Perry DeAngelis. Then I have a chat to Kevin Davies, the president of the Canberra Skeptics, who's going to fill us in a bit more about the upcoming National Australian Skeptics Convention. Looking forward to that. And to round off the show, Maynard's spooky action with the mystery investigators at the Powerhouse Museum. A bed of nails, spoon-bending, water dividing. What more could you want? Now, as my voice is failing me a little bit because earlier on this evening I was at Skeptics in the Pub where our special guest was Pamela Gay, and, talking to so many people does affect the vocal cords, but never mind. Just before we get into the show, a quick mention. I'd like to thank the Skeptical Society of St. Louis, Missy Rung Blue, for sending me in the post a beer glass with their logo on it. Wow, what an unexpected and nice present that was. So folks, if you're in the St. Louis area, why not check them out? The Skeptical Society of St. Louis, look them up on Google. What a wonderful group of people. Thanks, Skeptical Society of St. Louis. I really appreciate that. Okay, now I'm going to run downstairs and actually I'll fill up that glass, that lovely Skeptical Society of St. Louis glass with orange juice. Yeah. But that's what I need at the moment. While I do that, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. What an absolutely wonderful afternoon it is here in Sydney, Australia. I'm in the Royal Botanical Gardens near the Opera House. The harbour's over there on my left. On my right are lovely rolling green gardens and trees and birds in the sky and ducks in the ponds. And that lovely laugh you hear is Dr. Pamela Gay. Hello, Pamela.
Hello, Richard. How are you doing today?
I'm having a terrible day, Pamela. No, I'm having a wonderful time. It's such a peaceful afternoon here in the Botanic Gardens.
It really is. We saw a cockatoo. I knew that they existed as wild animals, but I'd never seen one as a wild animal before.
Oh, we'll see if we can find some more for you. I can hear some... Oh, hello, there's a statue of a half-naked woman.
Who's looking rather ashamed of her half-naked status as she's at a fork in the... Yeah, that's an awkward statue.
It is awkward, and she's sort of trying to cover herself up, and I don't know who she is, but we'll leave her there. She looks shocked. How dare you look at me? But now, Pamela, what's that little bird? Is that a little bird? I just saw it. No, it's just a leaf in the ground. But there are lots of little birds hopping around here and ducks, and let's stroll by this big duck pond over here. You've been on an interesting sort of whirlwind trip of Australia, haven't you?
Oh, Australia and New Zealand both.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's been amazing to see the North Island, fly over the South Island, and now I'm told that this is called the West Island.
That's right.
So it's been an amazing whirlwind trip. I've heard it be
called the Big Island too.
Yes. And getting to see so many different birds and plants and other things that I've never seen before, while getting to talk about the science of the sky that we all share that's the same for all of us. It's just been this great dichotomy.
Yeah. Now, we've just come around the corner here. We're in front of the main pond, they call it here in the Botanic Gardens. There are lots of ducks swimming around. There's a weird sort of bird nibbling something down there. Pamela's busy taking photographs. And there's a classic, very ducky-looking duck just over there.
Yes.
Oh, what a lovely, beautiful-looking...
A mallard.
Now,
yeah, and there's a very creepy-looking big black bird sitting there hiding its head.
Oh, yeah. And the duck's going after it now. Oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
I think that's an eel or something. There are eels.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, yeah, and they eat little ducklings sometimes.
I now understand where Loch Ness was inspired.
Yeah. Look, and they're just in front of us now. See that disturbance in the water?
Yeah.
Oh, creepy stuff. Creepy stuff. Oh, there it goes again. And again. It looks like it's chasing the duck.
Yes.
We might see a murder going on in a moment.
I'm used to ponds stocked with goldfish rather than eels.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's one, look.
Oh, my God.
We're walking down to the water now, and there's a giant eel right in front of us, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not sure it's so much an eel as a very elongated fish that still has fins, but... Yeah, this will be going up on Google Plus later.
Isn't that bizarre?
It's a good half-meter long
and it's
thing.
Disappearing now.
Yeah.
Wow. Right in front of us. Right in front of us. And those disturbances
Amazing.
You can see in the water, I think they're eels that are popping around. There it goes. There it goes. Look through the water.
Yeah.
Isn't that creepy? You wouldn't want to go for a paddle in there.
No, thank you. Wow.
Now, we had the pleasure of your company last night, Pamela, at a special dinner down at Darling Harbour, a very select group who came along to have a private dinner with you, and I must say you were wonderful. You spoke for a long time and you answered questions for hours. It was so good of you.
It was really an amazing evening to get to share dinner with, I think it was around 20 different people that are all enthusiastic about science and scientific skepticism, and we got to have honest discussions about the things that are right at the border of understanding, the how do we seek if there is life on other worlds and understand that question scientifically, how do we identify it, why haven't we identified it, and it was just neat to get to wrap our heads around so many different ideas, and then it all ended with fireworks, quite literally.
It did. It was exciting, wasn't it? They put on those wonderful fireworks just for us, just for you, just for you.
About that, but
now the crowd last night, the small crowd, I must say, had very interesting questions. A lot of them were quite interested to know your thoughts about the size and scale and scope of the universe, which was endlessly fascinating. But you also were there to, of course, oh, hello. Stopping to take another picture.
I'm
She's a tourist after all. There we go.
And I'm also a photo geek.
Just passing some, wow, what beautiful flowers we're passing here on our right, on our left.
Yeah, they look like crabapple flowers, but they're not.
The bees are buzzing around. You were here, of course, to promote the wonderful CosmoQuest. What can you tell us about that?
Well, CosmoQuest.org is a virtual research facility that's designed to allow professional scientists and everyday people to work together on trying to better understand our universe, to explore images of the moon, Mercury, Vesta, and work to map out these planets and moons and asteroid, while at the same time providing experiences for the public that normally are reserved for people working at research facilities. We have seminars, we have star parties, we offer classes for the public, and we're trying to build a community of people that are learning and doing science together. Wow.
I've been to a star party, of course, at DragonCon.
Yes, they're really amazing. We have this great group of amateur astronomers that have set up all manner of different types of cameras to different types of telescopes, and every Sunday night U.S., Monday morning for the Western Pacific Rim, we get together and we look at whatever planets are up, we look at whatever nebulae are clear, and just basically oogle the sky.
Oogle the sky.
Oogle the sky.
Who could blame you? Another pause for a photograph. We've come to a part of the park here, still by the fountain, the pond, and look at that. It's another one. It's another giant eel swimming by us. Let's have a look.
See if it comes up over here.
Disappearing into the murky water. It'll probably come up soon. Yes, and everybody, of course, last night was very interested to hear about your work and CosmoQuest. And you were giving people very good... here's one, look. Here's one. Look at this.
Dang.
Wow.
Oh, hi, beggar.
That's even bigger than the last one. Slowly moving eel.
Creepy eel.
Wow. Oh,
there he goes.
Disappearing. Big, long... and another one following it.
He's getting chased.
This is eel day. This is really eel day.
These remind me of, like, Chinese myths.
They look like something from the Jurassic or something.
Yeah. They're literally about half a meter long, probably
Actually,
about
longer,
10 centimeters high.
And off they go.
Yeah.
The things you see in Sydney. And, so the thing is, Pamela, this is such a worthwhile endeavour you do, and it brings such joy and interest to so many people. How can the Skeptic Zone listeners be of benefit to you?
Well, two different ways. We ask people to come to our site and spend time doing science, help us map out other worlds and find the scientifically interesting places to land future spacecraft and to focus high-resolution images using the spacecraft we have today. Beyond that, get the word out. There's so many people out there interested in science that don't know what opportunities exist for them to participate in science. And unfortunately, I have to say, with the current...
We're being chased by a remote control car.
Yeah. Adding merriment for what was about to be a depressing phrase.
Here we go.
One of the things that we're currently facing is budgetary shortfalls as so many governments around the world have to cut back the funding they have for science as they focus on social issues and, on warfare. And
yes.
So we are always looking for corporate sponsors to help us spread science and raise up a more technologically literate future.
I couldn't think of a better way for a large corporation or an individual who's thinking that they'd love to support science. And surely astronomy is one of the most elegant and beautiful sciences there is. And it really is. It's one of the most awe-inspiring. And there are many sciences out there which you could say are awe-inspiring, but everybody can share in this wonderful one. So I would encourage you to visit CosmoQuest.org.
Yes, CosmoQuest.org.
You won't regret it, and you may even get to, if you're very lucky, stroll around the Botanic Gardens one day with Pamela Gay.
And be chased by eels.
And remote control cars. And Pamela, if we're very lucky and we go around, if I'm getting my bearings right, we can have a bit of a wander. We might even see some flying foxes.
That would be amazing.
Let's see what we can do.
AstronomyCast takes a facts-based journey through the cosmos as it offers listeners weekly discussions on astronomical topics ranging from planets to cosmology. Hosted by Fraser Cain of Universe Today and myself, Dr. Pamela Gay of Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, this show brings the questions of an avid astronomy lover directly to an astronomer. Together, Fraser and I explore what is known and being discovered about the universe around us. Join us each week as we take a facts-based journey through the cosmos at astronomycast.com.
This week in science, we saw a new unmanned mission to the moon, tarantula venom pesticide, and what would you do if you heard this? Elephants can distinguish between the growls of predators and adapt their behaviour depending on the level of danger. Wild Asian elephants will play the growls of tigers, which are a significant threat to elephant calves, and the growls of leopards, which pose no real threat. When tiger growls were played, researchers observed the elephants silently retreating to safety. But when played leopard growls, the elephants made aggressive noises and investigated the threat rather than immediately retreating. This shows that elephants make a judgment on how dangerous the threat is and adapt their behaviour accordingly. NASA has launched a new unmanned probe to the moon, delightfully named LADEE. LADEE, that's LADEE, stands for the Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer, and will orbit the moon collecting information about its atmosphere. During the Apollo missions, astronauts reported a strange glow on the moon's horizon, thought to be electrically charged dust rising from the surface. LADEE will investigate the glowing dust, as well as gases in the moon's atmosphere. Electronic cigarettes are better at helping smokers cut back than nicotine patches. A study of 70 fathers showed the larger the volume of their testes, the less involved they were in parenting activities, like changing nappies. Australian researchers have found tarantula venom may be useful as an insecticide against bullworms, a common crop pest. And the fiery Szechuan pepper used in Asian food produces a brain signal equivalent to being physically tapped on the skin 50 times a second. Next week is one of our flagship events at RiAus, the 2013 Science Inspiration. On Wednesday, September 18, we welcome international science legend Professor Ian Fraser, who invented the HPV vaccine for cervical cancer. We'll get to know the man behind the name, with a school session during the day and evening session for everyone. Both will be live streamed online. Visit the RiAus website for details. That's it for This Week in Science. We'll see you right here next week.
Hi, I'm Finn. And I'm Rebecca. And we're the Skepticons. Skepticons is an Irish podcast by the Dublin Skeptics Society. It takes a conversational, irreverent look at science, news and skeptical topics from an Irish perspective. You can find us at www.theskepticons.com. You're always spirit with your strong finance.
Joining me now, all the way from beautiful Connecticut in the United States, it's Evan Bernstien.
Richard Saunders, how are you?
Not doing too bad, Evan. Touch of hay fever. It's that time of the year here in Sydney. The days are getting warmer. In fact, we've had some big bushfires lately. And I guess the pollen count is up, and I can certainly feel it.
Well, when we have spring here in Connecticut, the exact same conditions happen, although not the wildfires, where we don't get many of those. It's certainly not that time of year. But the pollen, the hay fever, the particles in the air, it's just makes your senses go crazy. And I know what you're feeling right now.
But in your part of the world right now, it's not certainly not going into spring. It's going into autumn.
We are, in fact, and there's frankly fewer places on Earth more wonderful to be than in New England during the autumn, because the foliage, the turning of the color of the leaves on the trees is just spectacular. People do come from all over the world to see it, so I'm very fortunate to live here and be able to enjoy that each year.
Now, Evan, you've been involved in skepticism for quite a long time. How long have you been doing that? You were one of the people who founded the New England Skeptical Society, I think.
Even from the days before it was known as the New England Skeptics Society, we were simply the Connecticut Skeptical Society when we started out in 1996. So, yeah, it's been a very long journey.
And, of course, eventually that led to the formation of SGU, the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. Mm-hmm. Now, I was wondering, and maybe some of our listeners are wondering too, how did that all get started? How did the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe come into existence?
The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe came about as a result of our efforts we had put in for the better part of 10 years with the New England Skeptical Society, in which it was myself and Steve and Perry and Bob at the time who we made up the executive council of the society. And this was all in late 2004, early 2005, right when podcasting came onto the scene, and iTunes introduced their store and basically invented podcasting, for lack of a better person or organization to credit for that. We always give it to them. So, and we had decided to try to move our efforts, which were offline based, in which we would have, just monthly meetings. We'd have dinners and functions and have special speakers come in, but we'd also publish a newsletter. Yes, back in the days of, printing actual paper and mailing newsletters out to people. We did that for quite a long time, but it was time. The internet had matured by that time, and it was really time to start developing an online presence. And we got the idea for doing a show when we were talking with one of our common friends around that time, who felt putting something together in a podcast would be a more, let's say, or an easier way to go about our discussions on politics instead of emailing each other back and forth. We were all very sort of actively politically charged at the time. Iraq War was raging, and a lot of things were happening in the George Bush administration, and the conversations were hot and heated and heavy, and they were 50 emails back and forth each day. So this is going on for several months, and so a friend suggested, well, this is taking up a lot of time. Why don't we just get together and record our thoughts and have like a dinner table discussion and turn it into a show? And Steve thought that was a brilliant idea, but he said, instead of politics, what we're going to do is we're going to use that idea and put our skeptical efforts and thoughts into a show. And that was the seed. That was the actual genesis of the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe back in, and our first show launched in May of 2005.
And how does the show work? I mean, I imagine you can get together when you can get together all in the same room, but that's not often. How do you all get the show sounding so good? How do you record it?
It works not dissimilar to the way we actually are doing it now. Yes, we use Skype as a conference tool so we can all hear each other, but we each recorded ourselves locally using Audacity. And we would send our files to Steve at the end of it all so he could edit us all together and turn it into one single track. And it's really not that different from the way we make the show now. We sort of stumbled upon it ourselves, figured it out ourselves, and it was nothing special to it. A lot of other people were able to sort of do the same thing or stumble upon this sort of solution to podcasting as a group from various places all over the planet. And that was it. It kind of it was easy enough for us. And we had a lot of experience using and sampling some different conferencing programs, because we would also play a lot of online games together. And when you're playing multiplayer online games together, it would be convenient to be able to hear each other and talk and say, okay, our group is going to now head towards this part of the city, or, that sort of chatter going on. And at the time, the games themselves didn't have very good, or at all, voice programs built into the game system. So we had to search around and try a couple of different ones that worked, and we found out that Skype had not only the best quality, but also the best bandwidth, or it didn't crash as much as the other ones. So we had already kind of fleshed that out, and the recording part was easy enough. So we were pretty much there from the get-go, and we understood exactly what we needed to do.
Yes, well, that's more or less what's happening at the moment. In fact, you're recording your bit at your end in Connecticut. I'm recording my bit here in Sydney, Australia. And when we're finished, you're going to send me your file, and I'm going to edit it all together, and it'll sound so seamless. But don't tell anybody. That's a production secret.
Whoa, except make sure you edit that part out, Richard. Don't forget.
Now, we all enjoy listening to The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, yourself, Steve Novella, Jay Novella, Bob Novella, and Rebecca Watson. But, of course, there's one person who was there right from the beginning who is missing these days, sadly, Perry DeAngelis, who I never got to meet. What sort of character was Perry?
He was my best friend, certainly. I mean, I consider Steve, Jay, and Bob also to be my best friends. And I would consider them the same as Perry, in so much that I actually knew Perry longer than I knew the Novellas. So he was a really tremendous friend to grow up with. You would walk into a room, meet him for the first time, and within about 60 seconds it would take, and you'd fall in love with the guy. He had such a charming, inviting personality. And this is also a person who was at times rough around the edges and pretty opinionated on many matters, skepticism, politics and sports and a lot, lots of different things. He was also a news junkie, so he kind of kept up to date with a lot of current events and these sorts of things. But regardless of whether you agreed with Perry or didn't, or had somewhere in the middle opinions about some of the things he's either said on the show or what you knew about him as a person outside the show, I mean, you couldn't help but absolutely want to have more time with him. He's the kind of person you just never wanted the time to end. He was a very fun-loving person, an avid gamer, as we all were, but Perry, I think, was the king of gamers of all of us. And that's effectively how we all met as friends, was through a role-playing game, a live-action role-playing game, and that's when Perry and I essentially met the Novellas back in 1992, and that's when our group friendship started. And you just can't say enough about Perry. Oh, and one more thing. What you heard of him on the show, brief as it was exactly how he is. He didn't put on any airs. He didn't pretend to be somebody else. He didn't have a personality to put onto the show. You pretty much got exactly who he was and exactly what his raw thoughts were. So, and I think a lot of people understand that and have expressed so much to us. And we're very happy that, we had 100 and better part of 110 episodes in which we were able to capture him and, let him live in eternity in the world of podcasting.
In fact, the first time I met Rebecca Watson was only weeks or a month or so after Perry died. And that can only be 6 years ago. It's amazing to think that Perry's been gone for 6 years.
It is. It is sobering. It's a reminder of, well, as Carl Sagan used to say, just really how precious life is, and how there's such a thin difference between existence and non-existence. And when you have a friend and a person that you've done so many activities with throughout your life, like Perry, you have a best friend, Richard, somewhere, and a lot of people in this audience, they all have best friends, and it's just people you just want to spend more and more time with, and you have to realize that time is very precious. And yes, 6 years have gone by. We still miss him, and we still get emails, lots of emails to this day for people who are just discovering the Skeptic's Guide recently, new listeners, and they, have to let us know about how much they enjoyed Perry while he was around. So it's very, very nice to hear those comments.
I remember sending an audio message to the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe when Perry was still on the show, saying, I hope the whole crew can come to Australia. So I'm sad Perry didn't make it in the end, but you did, and the others did, of course, in the year 2010 for TAM Australia. And you guys, I guess you guys were sort of treated like skeptical rock stars when you were here.
Is there such a thing? Yeah, okay. So I'll accept that, for what it is. We try to take those things in stride. And the adventure, I like to call it an adventure we had, both going to and coming back from Australia, and of course the 2 weeks we spent in Australia, were just a tremendous, tremendous time for us, not just professionally as in our skeptic careers, but also personally. We had our families with us, just top to bottom, an outstanding, outstanding and wonderful experience, one that we do want to repeat. At some point. I would say it's not a matter of if we ever return to Australia. It's simply a matter of when we return to Australia. Now, Rebecca has been back, and, we're happy that, she's able to be able to go to various places around the planet that sometimes the rest of us guys can't. But Australia, we will most certainly be coming back at some point. And
apart from the wildlife at the conventions, did you see any real Australian wildlife? Besides our trip to the to the Sydney Zoo?
Oh, we did. Yeah, we made sure that we had plenty of time built in to head out to various parts of the country and see a couple different things. We spent a whole day out at the Blue Mountains, which was tremendous. Steve, who is an avid birder, along with his oldest daughter, couldn't snap enough pictures of all the birds and other creatures that we were exposed to there out in the mountains. And we also, after our time in Sydney was up, we headed up to Cairns and spent some time up there, and we went into the rainforest, and that was a whole nother experience of all different things that we saw there. And like I mentioned, the Sydney Zoo, of course, a tremendous, great day we spent out there as well. So there was plenty of time to see a lot of the creatures all around Australia.
Do you personally get much fan mail from around the world, and particularly from Australia?
Yeah, well, we are an English-based podcast, so obviously the English-speaking countries of the world are the ones where we are listened to the most, but not exclusively. And Australia, we do seem to have quite a bit of listeners from Australia. We're very, very happy about that. We seem to strike a tone with them. I think we share a lot of things in common. Even though we each of our countries kind of developed on their own, we sort of share similar traits and have similar customs, and culturally, and we have similarities as well. So there's a natural sort of connection that I think we make with Australians because of those other common factors between our two countries and our cultures.
Absolutely right, and I feel the same way. I get many listeners to this show from the United States, and it's nice to know that both our podcasts go around the world. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to be pulling out all stops to join you, I hope, at the Skeptics Convention you have in New York in April. What can you tell me about that?
Our next convention, our annual convention, it's turned into, called Nexus, the New England Conference for Science and Skepticism. And we are the co-hosts of it, along with our friends over at the New York Skeptics Society. So together we make the Northeastern Conference on Science and Skepticism. Each year in April, we have, what could, I guess, be considered sort of a mini TAM, for lack of a better description. If anyone's ever been to TAM, then this conference is very similar in style and substance and guest speakers and some other things that we do. We have lots of artists performing, musicians come in, and people also they come in from around the world to attend this conference in New York City, which next one is coming up in 2014 in April. And Richard, we were talking at the last TAM about that, sort of putting together a little plan for you to make sure that you time your trip back to the United States or the East Coast of the United States, that you'll be here right about the time that TAM is going on, and that you will be a very, very special and featured guest of ours when you are here.
No, it's very kind of you. I hope I can make it.
I hope so.
And I've never been to New York before. I would be looking forward to that.
It's a one-of-a-kind city. I mean, I imagine you can say that just about of any city, but, everything you've heard about New York, especially the good stuff, is all true. And, don't worry so much about the bad stuff. That's, few and far between. We'll make sure we keep you out of trouble when you're here. So, yeah, I do hope that we can really make that a reality.
Oh, I wouldn't worry, Evan. I wouldn't worry walking around New York. I'd just grab George Hrub, and he'd look after me.
Yeah, of course he will. Yes, he's got eyes in the back of his head. It's not like he has hair there to get in the way or anything.
Well, Evan Bernstien, thanks very much for chatting to the Skeptic Zone. I know a lot of people who listen to the Skeptic Zone listen to SGU and vice versa, I'm pleased to say. And you're always welcome to come back to Australia, and who knows, you might be back here sooner rather than later. But for now, Evan Bernstien, thank you for being on the Skeptic Zone.
Richard, thank you very much. I hope to talk to you again soon.
You've argued against the same woo so many times you can do it in your sleep. Quit trying to stop the nonsense one person at a time. Join Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia. Help us make sure the best skeptical information is always at everyone's fingertips. We need writers, editors, translators. We need you. And take as much or as little time as you can give us. Help us make Wikipedia as accurate as it can be, and you'll literally be helping people while you sleep. To join us or find out more, send a Facebook friend request to Susan Gerbic. That's Gerbic. Guerrilla Skepticism. The time is now.
Well, I'm here at the Darling Harbour. We've been enjoying a great dinner with Pamela Gay, but, well, it's Kevin Davies, president of the Canberra Skeptics. Kevin, you've travelled all the way to Sydney just to hear Pamela's.
She is truly amazing, Richard.
She's been talking for over an hour now, an hour and a half, just answering questions.
And I'm so grateful I got to come up here and listen to her and talk to her. I've heard her a couple of times at TAM Oz and TAM 2011, but this is going to be hard to top.
Yeah, and we've just snuck away so I can have a quick chat with you. She's still there. She's got a room full of people listening to what she has to say. They're firing questions about the universe, about the expansion of space, and she's answering them all. It's just staggering.
She truly is a spellbinding person.
She is. Now, of course, the exciting news, as our listeners know, is there's the big Australian Skeptics National Convention coming up, and it's coming up soon.
Coming up very soon, 22nd to 24th of November. Come along, it's going to be a fantastic time. We have a number of great speakers, including the one, the only, the incomparable Richard Saunders. We have Chris French coming along. We also have a number of speakers from Canberra. And
I always enjoy the Australian Skeptics National Convention. Every time I've gone along, it's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting talks. And the dinner, of course, it's always a highlight. We have the bent spoon, but also this dinner's going to be a lot of fun because it's a Doctor Who theme.
Yes, through a strange quirk of history, or maybe even a conspiracy.
Yes.
The 50th anniversary of the first screening of Doctor Who happened the day after the 50th anniversary of the assassination of JFK.
Coincidence? I think not.
I'm going for conspiracy, Rich. I really am. Really
so it's going to be a great dinner. The dinners are always a lot of fun at the Australian Skeptics National Convention.
Yes, they are.
The presentation of the Bent Spoon Award, I don't know who's going to win it this year.
Who knows?
Who knows?
There's always a lot of good candidates.
There are. And I might even see if I can get my old long Tom Baker scarf out of the cupboard. Who knows?
Maybe. I look forward to seeing it.
I had one once. I wonder if I still got it. I don't know. Anyway, the website people need to visit to buy their tickets because time is running out
is www.nationalskepticsconvention.org.
nationalskepticsconvention.org is the website. Yep. You can buy your tickets there. Now's the time to get those tickets. I know you're selling the tickets fast. It's 6 weeks away, something like that, 7 weeks. Not long.
It seemed a lot longer when we first agreed to do it, but it's getting a lot closer now.
Oh, I know the feeling. Kevin, I can't wait for it, and I'll see you in Canberra.
Thank you very much, Richard. I look forward to seeing you there.
Hey fellow skeptics, I'm Trent, the co-host of a podcast called Seeds of Doubt and creator of a new project called Dropfox. Dropfox is dedicated to providing new music for your radio show or podcast and to help support your cause through the sound waves. The song you're listening to is called Keep Looking Up and can be heard on the podcast Oddments by College of Curiosity. If you need some new music, check me out. Facebook.com/Dropfox. That's DROPFOX.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Welcome, Skeptic Zone listeners. Welcome, Skeptic Zone listeners. It's Cub Reporter Maynard here, and I'm ringside, literally, as the mystery investigators are about to do their thing at the Powerhouse Museum. They've done it before, and there's been action, there's been excitement, there's been tears. 3 governments have fallen during one of their performances. That performance only lasts half an hour. It's amazing how they do it. But I can look around and I see dice, water, all sorts of things that would be at my place on a Saturday night about 11 o'clock. But the
They're going to learn about science, and that's Richard Saunders, as you say in the business, stroking the balloon. Richard, how's it going?
I thought this was one of the things that would be at your place late on the night, Maynard.
And over there I see Dr. Rachie is using Clinique Cosmetics.
Hi, Dr. Maynard.
Yeah. Aren't you amazed that I recognise the brand of your cosmetics from 20 feet away?
Because you use the same one.
Okay, give it all away. Okay, now you're actually putting on a bit of makeup right now. Richard, you working sans makeup tonight?
Sans makeup, just for tonight.
Now, you're just outside the Coles Theatre here. Now, inside there's some science going on, but you're going to be pre-sciencing them as the people come in.
Outside there'll be some science going on as well. Rachie and I are here to perform some of the mystery investigators. We've got the water divining set up. We've got the bed of nails over there. We're going to be doing power balance and spoon bending.
Right. Now, what sort of audience? Usually you work to school kids. Who's expected tonight?
A huge cross-section of society will be coming tonight for the Powerhouse Night of Science. Very exciting. From 9 to 90, I guess I'd say.
Yeah. And Dr. Rachie, whatever your name is, what will you actually be doing in the show? Richard's got the white Pons Institute lab coat on. You've got the black wacky racers evil black coat on. What are you doing?
I guess I'm the emo scientist tonight. Maybe Maynard, I don't know. Do emos still exist? Do we still have those?
So when Richard says stuff like, and that's because of air pressure, you go, don't tell me I know. That sort of thing.
You know what she's going to be standing on my back while I'm on the bed of nails.
That's true. And jumping up and down as well, so that'll be fun. Just don't tell Richard that.
Okay, that's all going to be happening very soon, folks. Stay tuned. I'm just watching from a distance as the mystery investigators have revealed their very scary, very dangerous bed of nails. Richard Saunders, at this moment, is
3, 4.
Is demonstrating it's a real bed of nails by popping a balloon on it. He will now invite a member of the audience to... Dr. Rachie! He's inviting Dr. Rachie to help him demonstrate it's a real bed of nails and that you can lie on the real bed of nails without getting hurt, usually. At this stage, a volunteer from the audience is going to now lie on the bed of nails that Richard has just lay on, and here she goes.
Hands on your tummy, put your legs down flat.
Legs up flat.
Legs up flat.
How's it feel down there?
Fantastic. It's quite comfortable, actually.
It's quite comfortable. We'll leave her there all night, I think. All right, up you come.
Ready?
Thank you.
Up.
Oh, big hand for our volunteer. Who else would like to try?
And now the mystery science investigators are going to be doing some water divining. This is where, using a stick, they can find some water. Dr. Rachie, of course, is an expert at alcohol divining, and she's been known to be able to find a pub from 500 kilometres away using any pointed bone. She once found a 5-star hotel on a continent using only a credit card. She's amazing.
Get some older people. Who would like to try? Yes, sir. There you go. Would you like to try some more to divine? There you go. All right.
Look, I'm here with Isabelle. What's going on? Who are you, and what are you mucking around with liquid nitrogen for? That's dangerous.
Yes, well, so I'm Isabelle. I'm the manager of the Ultimo Science Festival. I work here at the Powerhouse, and together with a bunch of awesome, wonderful people, we've put this festival together, and tonight's the big night of science. So we've heard from Adam Spencer, we've heard from Emma Johnson, and Derek Muller's been doing a great job hosting the evening, and soon we're going to be seeing Ruben Meerman do some really cool science demonstrations and talk about cocktails.
I want to know what you're doing with the liquid nitrogen you're just running around with.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's a secret with what Ruben's going to do, but I think he's going to talk about actually the dangers of liquid nitrogen in cocktails. There's been some accidents around the world where people have damaged their stomachs or even worse. So yeah, Ruben's going to talk about about cocktails and the science of crowds and all that fun stuff. So that's why I'm off to get some liquid nitrogen. But yeah, it's been a really, really great evening. Lots of people, great vibe, drinks, food, beautiful music.
Now, what discipline of science seems to be the big one tonight? Is it sort of mathematics, physics, chemistry? Which one seems to be the bigger one tonight?
Oh, God. Well, Adam Spencer did his prime numbers talk, so, math has been the queen here, the science queen. But you know what? Emma did such a great talk on marine biology. I just couldn't pick, really.
Okay. Now, is there a place we could go online to see what happened tonight or find out more about what's going on?
Yeah, definitely. This is the second day of the festival, so there's heaps more to come. You can go to ultimosciencefestival.com, and all the information is there, and you can book from there.
Okay. Well, you have fun in there, and be careful with that liquid nitrogen cocktail.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
There's a little bit of information if anybody's interested about investigating strange and mysterious stuff from the Australian Skeptics.
Thank you.
My dad reckons he can do it.
Well, there's money.
Beer divining. Well, how did you go with your water divining tonight?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Did you come close to finding the water in the bottle?
No, not in the blind test.
No. Oh, well.
But in the first round, yes.
So is this something you might like to try at home for finding things around the house?
Yes. Yeah. And what I really want to know is how he break the spoon, bend the spoon.
Ah, well, Richard doesn't even tell me that, but, well, that's ours. Well, Richard, another mystery investigator's there. We've got a lady there who was doing the water divining who's fascinated by your spoon trick, and Dr. Rachie's trying to explain the spoon trick to her.
Good old Uri Geller, eh? After all these years, that the shtick is still working. People love it.
Well, so also, I explained the spoon trick to her and was completely wrong. I thought there was a third spoon involved, but that's not true at all.
No. I like to use two. And I can use one, but it's a good trick.
Yeah,
it's good.
And how'd you go tonight? I mean, you've worked in some great foyers in your time, and this, of course, was one of those great foyers.
Great foyer. The bed of nails went down well. We did about 4 water divining tests. We broke many spoons, so good night.
I believe they're explaining in there the dangers of liquid nitrogen in cocktails.
Oh, yes, because recently some people were actually hospitalised for that in a South American country.
Is this the Darwin Awards, isn't it?
No. It was a big party. It was sponsored by a big alcohol manufacturer, and they poured liquid nitrogen into the pool so that there was a whole lot of ice.
Yeah.
Those people got asphyxiated, but also they put dry ice into cocktails and
it hadn't dissolved. Well, actually, no, I think it was liquid nitrogen when all you really got to do is put in, dry ice in cocktails, dangerous enough.
Yeah. But liquid nitrogen is minus 193 degrees Celsius, whereas dry ice is only minus 80 degrees. Right. In either case, it doesn't go with plus 37 degrees, which is your core temperature.
I've been trying to get some liquid boron in a cocktail for years now, and no one will sell it to me.
What do you want liquid boron for, Maynard?
Fantastic. Look, you haven't had a cocktail, you had it with liquid boron. And anyone out there listening knows what I'm talking about. Liquid nitrogen is purely for your Saturday night amateurs.
Right, okay. Well, I'm a scientist. We can talk about that later.
Now, Rachie, you had 2 people come up to you while you were showing how water divining is often the idiomotor effect. These people claimed that they could do water divining?
Yeah, and it's the same story I often get, actually, is that their father did it on their property many years ago and they've done it through their family, and that they looked for something and they found it. But it's commonly a story of, I looked for some water by divining over some grass and I dug down and found some water. Well, I think in most cases in Australia, if you dig under the ground, you'll find water. And then saying that quite vague things like, I was looking for a trench in the earth, which I think is a crack in the earth, and I found a crack. Well, I dare say there's probably a lot of cracks in the earth as well.
Right. Did you have time to give them a quick lesson in geology?
No, I didn't actually. And sometimes with people that are... This guy was absolutely convinced, and there's really not much point, so I really just...
The older gentleman?
Well, the 2 older gentlemen.
Oh,
one was from Cooper Pedy and one was from somewhere else.
Cooper Pedy told me he'd find faults in the ground. for opal
that's
mining.
that's the same guy. Yeah.
Well, I found 3 faults in the 7:30 report last week.
Why did you find them with a divining rod?
And I believe, Dr. H, you once found a 5-star restaurant in a continent with only using a credit card and a Bic pen.
It's true. Without even a phone or a GPS, I just found it. In fact, I can find my way to a pub quite often too. It's an amazing skill.
Hey, Kenny.
Oh, hi, Tom.
Nice day at this park, yeah?
Yes, great weather.
Oh, look, a unicorn.
Unicorn? There are no such things as unicorns, silly.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Hey, guys, what are you arguing about?
Tom thinks unicorns are real.
They so are.
Let's look this up in the Skeptics Dictionary.
The what?
How can we do this in this park? There is no computer here.
You guys probably don't know about the Skeptics Dictionary app. Available now for iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch in the App Store.
Wow, cool.
The app lets you access all of the great Skeptics Dictionary articles when you're on the go. Here, let me look up unicorns.
Oh, cool. Kenny, prepare to be proven wrong.
It says here, the unicorn is a creature from fables.
Aha!
Actually, I see now that someone just dumped their ice cream cone on that horse's head. Thanks, Skeptics Dictionary iPhone app.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. And coming up next week, another interview with Pamela Gay from Maynard. While Pamela Gay was doing her special Skeptics in the Pub only a few hours ago, Maynard found some time to sit down with her and have a chat. So that's coming up on next week's show. Also on next week's show, I hope to chat with a man who wants to go to Mars and not come back. That should be interesting. And thank you to those people who chip into the Skeptic Zone via PayPal at www.skepticzone.tv. Less than $1 a week, it all helps. And while you're at the website, scroll down a little bit past the show notes for this episode, and you'll see the link to Solar Flare, the space adventure we did a couple of months ago. What a lot of fun that was. If you haven't heard it, Solar Flare, the audio space adventure. But for now, until next time, this is Richard Saunders and Fred the Cat signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.